Good afternoon. The next question is about that we are doing for grade 9. Term 4 preparation for the exam is the genetic modification. Genetic modification. What is this all about? We are talking about the genetically modified organisms. Okay. GMOs. See Article 6.1 below and answer the question. Africa should follow in South Africa footsteps and embrace genetic modification. Okay, what is it that we have? South Africa is still the only African country that grows GMOs, genetically modified maize. So it is not surprising that it produced 26% of sub-Saharan maize in 2016-2017 season. Okay, it is because it has adopted the use of GMOs. That's why the production has increased, productivity. Meanwhile, while there was also an outbreak of fall armyworm in South Africa, farmers experienced minimal crop damage as genetically modified crops proved far more resistant. So GMOs are more resistant. We're more resistant to them. Fall of armyworm, okay, it did not affect the yields or production. Okay, more than 80% of South Africa's maize production is now genetically modified. Okay, it's now genetically modified, which is why the country managed to harvest its biggest crop in history last year, 70.5 million tons, despite the worm. Okay, then South Africa is still the only African country that grows genetically modified maize. So it is not surprising that it produced 20% of sub-Saharan maize. In 2016-2017 production season, while using a relatively small land area of 2.6 million hectares. In contrast, countries such as Nigeria planted 4 million hectares and only harvested 7.2 million tons. Okay, this shows that not only do genetically modified crops withstand some pests, they also boost productivity. Given these pest outbreaks, we should ask whether it is time for Africa to follow in South Africa's footsteps and embrace the genetically modified technology in order to boost production and feed their children. Okay, so let's go through the question now. The questions. What does the acronym GM stand for? This is genetic modification. Genetic modification. That's what GM stands for, is genetic modification. Referring to Article 16.1, how much sub-Saharan maize was produced by South Africa in the 2016-2017 season? So how much was produced in sub-Saharan? That is 20%, 26%. That's what was produced. 26% of the sub-Saharan maize. That's what was produced. Let's move on to 6.3. 6.3, give the reason for the percentage in question 6.2. What is the reason? South African grows genetically modified maize. So they are growing genetically modified maize. That's why there was an increase in that percentage. That's why they are producing that 20%, 26% of the sub-Saharan maize, of course, because they grow genetically modified maize. Okay, briefly explain 2 advantages of GMO crops for countries like South Africa. What are the advantages? Okay, the advantages are that 6.4. The advantages are that it withstands some pest. It's something that we have got from the extract. It also boosts productivity. They can withstand some pest and also boost what? Productivity. It makes the food supply more predictable. Food that is then made predictable has more nutrition content. GMO can last longer. There's a long shelf life. Man does not get to be spent on many herbicides and pesticides, making it cheaper. It also limits the food waste as it lasts longer. So these are some of the things that you can actually include. So this takes us to the end of our question on genetic modification.